You've been doing everything right. You cut back on carbs. You started going to the gym again 3, maybe 4 times a week. Maybe you even gave up the beer on weeknights and swapped it for water or something you don't even like as much. And somehow it's working. Your arms look better, your face looks leaner, your energy is a little more stable through the afternoon. But your belly? It's exactly where it started. Still there, still hard, still refusing to move no matter what you throw at it. You poke it after a shower and think, why is this the one part of me that isn't listening? And here's the part that makes it so frustrating. This isn't the same fat you dealt with in your 20s when a few weeks of cleaner eating would just handle it. Something has actually changed inside your body, something chemical. And the frustrating part is, most men never find out what it is, so they just assume they're not trying hard enough. You're trying hard enough, there's something else going on. Here's what I want you to walk away with by the end of this video. There is one small detail about the fat sitting on your belly right now, something it's actually doing, chemically, every single day, that explains why it fights back harder than fat anywhere else on your body. Not your arms, not your legs, specifically your belly. Most doctors don't mention it in a rush 10-minute appointment because it's not really an emergency to them. Most fitness influencers don't even know it exists because it's not exactly a flashy workout tip. But once you understand it, the reason your belly won't move stops feeling like some cruel mystery about getting older and starts feeling like a specific physical problem, one with an actual starting point and one you can actually do something about. So stick with me because by the end of this, you're going to look at your midsection completely differently. Here's the first thing to understand, and it's going to sound strange at first. Belly fat isn't just sitting there doing nothing, like some inert cushion you're carrying around. It behaves almost like its own organ. It sends out chemical signals into your bloodstream. It reacts to stress in real time. It even talks to your hormones, adjusting how much of certain hormones are floating around your body at any given moment. Think of it less like a pile of stored energy sitting quietly in storage and more like a thermostat that's wired backwards. The hotter the room gets, the harder it cranks the heat, instead of cooling things down. That's basically what's happening in your midsection after 40. It's not passive, it's active, and in some ways it's working against you on purpose, or at least it feels that way. Once you see how that thermostat is actually wired, the rest of what I'm about to explain is going to click into place fast. Point 1. The trap. Your fat tissue, especially the fat around your belly, contains an enzyme. Think of an enzyme as a tiny chemical converter working inside your cells called aromatase. What this enzyme does is take testosterone, the hormone responsible for helping you build muscle, maintain strength, and burn fat efficiently, and convert a portion of it into estrogen. Now here's the part that matters most. The part that turns this from a simple fact into an actual problem. The more belly fat you carry, the more of this converter enzyme you have working in your body. So lower testosterone leads to more belly fat being stored. And more belly fat means more of this enzyme, which means even lower testosterone. What this means for you is that this isn't a straight line of decline, the way most people picture aging. It's a loop, a cycle that quietly feeds itself, getting slightly worse each year if it's left alone. The actionable step here is simple but important. The earlier you interrupt this loop, whether that's through training, through addressing your weight directly, or through getting your hormone levels checked, the less momentum this cycle has had time to build. This is exactly why waiting it out, hoping it resolves on its own, rarely works. The loop doesn't fix itself, it reinforces itself. Point 2, the magnet effect. Research shows that the fat cells, specifically in your belly, actually contain more receptors for cortisol, your body's main stress hormone, than fat cells almost anywhere else in your body. A receptor, in simple terms, is like a docking station. The more docking stations a cell has for a particular hormone, the more that hormone can influence what that cell does. What this means for you is that when you're stressed, whether that's bad sleep, a demanding job, financial pressure, or just constant low-grade tension that never really switches off, that stress doesn't spread evenly across your entire body. It gets pulled, specifically and disproportionately, toward your midsection because that's where the most docking stations are. What this means for you practically is that a stubborn belly might have a lot less to do with your last meal than you think, and a lot more to do with your last few nights of bad sleep, or the stress you've been carrying around without really noticing it anymore. The actionable step here is to start treating your sleep window like it's part of your training program, not some afterthought you sacrifice when life gets busy. 7 to 8 hours at a consistent time isn't a luxury in this context. It's one of the more direct levers you actually have. Point 3, the effort ceiling. Here's something almost nobody tells men over 40, and it explains a lot of the frustration you might already be feeling. Your body adapts. If you're doing the same workout and eating roughly the same way you did 5-10 years ago, your body eventually adjusts to that input the way it adjusts to almost anything repeated often enough. And when that happens, results slow down. Not because you're failing, and not because you're lazy, but because your body is responding exactly the way it's biologically designed to respond to a familiar stimulus. What this means for you is that hitting a plateau isn't a signal to simply push harder in the same direction, doing more of the same thing that used to work. It's a signal to change the input itself. The actionable step here connects directly back to what we just covered. Long, steady cardio sessions, the kind where you're on a treadmill or a bike for 45 minutes to an hour at a steady pace, tend to raise cortisol over time, especially when they're frequent. And remember, cortisol is the same hormone that gets pulled straight toward your belly. Shorter, heavier resistance training sessions, real strength work, using weights that challenge you, kept to around 45 minutes, tend to be a better lever specifically for this kind of stubborn abdominal fat, partly because they preserve and build the muscle that keeps your metabolism running efficiently in the first place. Here's the part that changes how you see all of this, and honestly, it's the part I find most interesting. This fat storage response wasn't some design flaw, some mistake evolution made along the way. It was once protective. For most of human history, storing fat quickly and holding onto it stubbornly was a genuine survival advantage during periods of famine, illness, or serious physical hardship. Your body wasn't built for a world with unlimited food and almost no physical demands. It was built for scarcity, for unpredictability, for seasons where food simply wasn't guaranteed. Your body isn't broken. It's not malfunctioning. It's running a survival system that was engineered over hundreds of thousands of years for a completely different environment than the one you're living in right now. It's just running very old software in a very new world. And that mismatch, more than anything else, is at the root of why this particular kind of fat is so stubborn. Story moment. I know a guy, mid-40s, disciplined, the kind of person who never misses a gym session, not even on vacation. He trained hard, 4 or 5 days a week. He ate clean, tracked almost everything that went into his mouth. And for months, nothing about his belly changed, while everything else on his body clearly did. His arms filled out. His face got leaner. His energy improved. But that midsection stayed exactly where it was, like it was completely immune to all the effort going in everywhere else. It wasn't until he stopped focusing purely on diet and training, and actually started protecting his sleep and actively lowering his day-to-day stress that things finally started to shift. Not overnight. It took weeks before he even noticed a difference. But it moved, and what he told me afterwards stuck with me more than anything else in this conversation. He said he spent almost a year fighting the wrong battle, pouring effort into the parts of the problem he could see, because no one had ever explained the loop to him, the part he couldn't see, happening quietly underneath everything else. Conclusion. So here's what you now know that you probably didn't 12 minutes ago. Stubborn belly fat after 40 isn't about willpower, and it isn't some random cruelty of aging. It's a self-feeding loop involving your hormones, your stress response, and the way your body naturally adapts to repeated effort over time. And loops, once you actually understand where they start, can be broken. I want to hear from you on this one. What's one thing you've genuinely tried, something you put real effort into, that just didn't move your belly fat at all? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single reply, and I mean that. And if this helped connect some dots for you, something that's been frustrating you for a while now, consider subscribing. There's a lot more of this kind of biology I want to walk you through, one piece at a time.